With me in the studio today from Vast Resources, I'm joined by Andrew Prelea. Andrew, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Always a pleasure.
It certainly is. Look, I remember the last time you and I spoke, you said the next time would be around Baita Plai.
Yes.
You kept your word?
I kept my word.
It's a big week for you.
I've made sure that, I kept my word. I've been criticised for not being able to keep my word, but it was out of my control. But that one was in my control, so I did keep my word.
But it can't be understated. It's a significant deal.
It is. It is something that's transformational for the company. And the thing that I don't quite understand is that we've got so much within Vast that it was not insignificant. It's fairly significant because of its near-term production. It basically proves concept in Romania, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not our biggest asset. In fact, it's far from it. However, it will be quite near term and it will be transformational for the company. So we're very, very, very excited and extremely happy that we've managed to get it over the line. It's first time in 19 years a license of this sort has been granted.
Well, it's been a frustration for you and for shareholders.
Yes.
What more can you tell us about some of the hold-ups?
In simple terms, because it hasn't been done in 19 years, and the last time it was done was under the old mining legislation in 1999. In 2003, there were changes, and since then, nobody's done it. So therefore, you had, let's say, conflicting opinions of the legal departments of the various divisions within the government structure. So in the Ministry of Economy, the legal department wanted certain contractual forms in one way. Then in ANRM, they didn't agree with the way that the other lawyers had said it, but nobody wanted to say, oh, this one doesn't know what they're doing. So it's easier to put it aside. So it was basically not a hand-holding exercise, but a lot of negotiations. A lot of things are done in Romania, let's say, historically that weren't done properly by the book. They were politically motivated. This thing here was completely apolitical, and therefore it took a lot longer to make sure that in 1, 2, 5, 10 years' time, we've got absolutely no issues or concerns for shareholders. And that's why it took a little bit longer. But it was a tiring task, but we finally got it over the line, so we're extremely happy.
And slightly more stressful, perhaps, than you'd first imagined it might be?
Yes. No, look, when we first bought the mine, the assets of the mine, it was about to go into liquidation. It did end up going into liquidation, which for shareholders it was a benefit because we bought it much cheaper. However, we didn't anticipate the delay, but there's been political changes. As I said, during the period of negotiation, I think we've had 3 or 4 prime ministers, about 9 ministers of economy. Every time it's a restart of the conversation. The legacy of people within the various ministries and their opinions then get transformed. You have to undo them. Lucky for us, a lot of people have been changed within those areas. But I have to say that the support from the senior people within the ministry, and they have been positive, and everything I've relayed was from word of mouth from the people right at the top. However, there is an organisation, and it is a political and a bureaucratic organisation. So it's not just a matter of the minister saying yes. It's the minister, then you've got the Secretary of State, and under him you've got the Director of Mineral Resources, under him you've got the legal department, the accounting department, and every single one has to sign off. Because of the historic accusations of corruption within the organisations of the Romanian state, and because of the very strong anti-corruption commission, everyone is afraid to sign. So the hold-up has been everyone making sure that everything is perfect before signing off. And that's all really the delay has been. It's just making sure that everyone was covered.
And with the licence in the bag, what does it mean? What does it allow you to do?
Well, I mean, the hardest part was getting first the Minister's Accord, which we received, I think, on the 27th of July, even though we agreed on the 22nd of June. But again, it was about the documentation, the format. Then we had to lodge the documentation jointly with Baita and ANRM, which we did do. Unfortunately, the lawyers within ANRM didn't like the structure of the wording. We had that changed. It was record time. It was done in 3 days. And then it went to the lawyers at ANRM, and then they said, look, now the minister's approval has to be changed to reflect the new documentation. So that then took time. Then, it was just a matter, there was nothing wrong. It was just making sure that everybody had cross-checked and made sure that when you got 2 lawyers in the room, you get 3 opinions. So, so this time it was just a matter of making sure that everything was smooth and agreed. So now we've got 5 working days to pay the outstanding money, and then we can sign and execute, and that's booked in already for Wednesday next week. So that's the day. That's D-Day. Everyone's excited. Baita is excited because they need the money as much as we want to give it to them. And that means that we've got the team already mobilising on the ground, the executive management team, on Monday. So they'll be starting work on Monday. They're going to start the new program, updating all the costings and feasibilities and what needs to be done. Even though we've done a lot of work over the course of the last 3 years, we didn't want to invest in major capex items underground until we knew that we had the right to mine. Everything that was there for care and maintenance, safety, etc., we did. The long lead items have to be ordered, and we're still planning on reopening within 6 months. I'm not going to say a date because I always get held accountable to that, but the target is 6 months. And over the course of the next week or so, once the executive team's been on the ground, we will probably release some sort of a timeline and Gantt chart of what the progress will be on a regular basis so people can see that we are there. Our off-takers are all signed up and ready to go. So, we have clients, we have very good contracts, and we're really, really, really excited about moving forward with Baita.
So really pleased?
Very pleased.
Well, let's leave Baita to one side then. What about Blueberry? Andrew, what's the latest here?
Blueberry, we lodged the third year report on the 3rd of September. We lodged on time on the 3rd of October the final report, which is now going through the processes of ANRM. Anyway, no, but this is a little bit different. This is a brand new license, and now we've proven concept in Romania. We can show that we can get licenses. Then there's 90 days from when they've accepted everything. The drill results are still coming in because we drilled up to we had 6 weeks to drill 6,800 metres. Every day new results are coming in. Every day they're looking exactly as we hoped, and if not better. Shortly there'll be, now that everything's out of the way, we'll be providing an update to the market on that very soon. We're very happy and excited. We've got institutions who are already, in there as investors at the pre-IPO level. And then we're still aiming and targeting to get the JORC out, by the end of this year, beginning of next year, and have the IPO in the new year. So that's a very positive asset. I mean, you look at the neighbourhood it's in the Golden Quadrangle. You've got some amazing assets in that area, and this is just a continuation. In fact, it's a breccia pipe, so that it's even more concentrated in areas, and it's got distinct gold areas and distinct polymetallic areas, and the results are proving that what we believed was there from the historical data is matching what we found. So we're very, very happy.
Well, I suppose because you haven't officially announced it, so without giving too much away, these results, what you're seeing so far, if not meeting expectations, perhaps exceeding expectations.
I'm going to stay silent on that, but hopefully my grin doesn't give away too much.
Well, let's switch focus to the new Moringa claims and diamonds in general here. What's the update? What's the latest?
I mean, historically, in 2006, that was our biggest asset, and it's been a very big asset for the Zimbabwe people. What we're looking at is we're bringing community together with industry. So working together with the Heritage Trust, and Mercury is owned by the Heritage Trust. We know that there are things there. There have been artisanal miners there for a long, long time. We know what they've been pulling out of the ground. The priority is, of course, securing the perimeter. We've done the geological report, third party, independent from us and Botswana Diamonds. So we've got because people may misconstrue that even though James Campbell is probably the best, as far as we're concerned, person in the world on alluvials, you still need that third party verification when you want to start operating. So that's now complete. We now are convinced that we want to proceed there. We've got the geological team, our own team, probably hitting the ground properly next week. We will release the results, preliminary results, shortly on what we found there to date, and we'll be giving regular updates on that as well to the market as they're there investigating. We're looking at what's the best way to secure the area. We want to get into the trial mining or bulk sampling as soon as possible, but I'll save that for a separate RNS. But it's looking once again I don't know, for this month everything's happening the way it should. So we're very excited about the diamond mining in Zim.
And where are we at with the old Moringa claims?
I'm not at liberty to say at this time, but they haven't been forgotten, that's certain.
Well, a quick word, Andrew, on Eureka. That's coming along too?
Yeah, I mean, with the problems and the currency issues in Zimbabwe at the moment, the long lead items, they're in process. We have to pay for them. Eureka, I mean, separate money for that, obviously. Hopefully we'll be up and operational there, but there is a lot of work going on inside. The dewatering's happening, the crushing circuits, or the existing machinery is all being overhauled, and we've got the mills and the crushing circuit, the new ones coming in I don't know if they're going to arrive within the next 2-3 months, but they're definitely being ordered. They're in production. So, that's all moving. So we've had a very, very positive, 30 since we last spoke. Everything seems to be, the stars are aligning for Vast, and we're very, very happy.
Well, I've got to ask a couple of questions cropping up from investors just following on from the AGM.
Yes.
I mean, you requested a decent amount of headroom there. Yeah. What was some of the reasons for that?
Well, I mean, historically we had some issues with fundraising. I think, this year we've been, it's gone very well. Whenever we've done a placing, the share price has gone up. We like to think that we're doing things properly. The reason for the headroom is there was no headroom last year. And it doesn't give us the freedom to be able to invest money where it needs to be invested. And I don't want to fall victim to what happened to us with Pixton, where we ended up selling a majority stake in a mine that is extremely profitable. We don't want the same thing to happen again on the diamonds or on any other projects in pipeline. So it's not that we're asking for headroom to spend all the money. We're asking for headroom for a specific purpose. And if the best part about being in business is to create value for shareholders. And me being one of those shareholders, but I've got to look at what's in the best interest of the company. If I need to raise X dollars and I can make X times 10 for the shareholders, then we're better off using our own money, because if not, we end up giving away the lion's share for a small amount of money. And some of the projects we're working on now are very low cost entry with very high returns. And we don't want to fall into the position where we lose value for shareholders for a small amount of money. And also, if you don't have the headroom, I mean, I've said it before, we are looking at institutional investors. We're in deep discussions and negotiations with several institutions that are interested in coming on board to become cornerstones investors within the company to facilitate the growth of the business on the project level. So, we've got a huge free float. We need to minimise that. And, that it's there to give the shareholders the opportunity to be able to attract further investment within the business the right way. So now we're focused on building a mid-tier mining company, which I've said before. A lot of people laughed at me, but that is our primary focus. And also boosting the executive team to be able to enable us to implement all of the plans we have moving forward. So all of the money that the headroom that we're asking for it's not that we're saying, we're going to start using, drawing down on the headroom. It is there for the event that we can create value for shareholders, and that's the primary target. So, we're very happy at the moment.
Well, I was just going to finish off by saying, look, you're pretty pleased with what's been achieved since taking over as chief executive?
I think the company's moved. It's not just me. We've got a very strong executive team. The management team in Romania, the management team in Zimbabwe, they've been extremely helpful. The executive team in London and spread around the world. I mean, we're now working as a cohesive team. The board meetings are very well structured. We have like every board, some people agree, some people disagree, but we always find that balance within the company. And that's throughout from the top down and the bottom up. So now we're working completely different, and I'm very, very happy with the way things are progressing for the company.
Many thanks, Andrew. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Always a pleasure.